You know, sometimes we start a project without a clear idea of the outcome. This was one of those projects. I only understood it by the end of the process. Stick around to find out, and welcome to Cut, Transform, Glue. Okay, so as you know, I've been 3D printing a lot of parts on this channel, and all of that led me to this huge collection of empty filament spools. I really like how they look, kind of sci-fi. So yeah, I've been saving all of these. More recently, I finished a filament spool from a different brand, and it looks even better. And so I thought maybe this could be like a base for a quick little project. And then I thought, well, maybe a tiny little city, futuristic city. And so yeah, this is what I'll do in this video. So I went looking for some pieces to go with it, and I came across this weird one right here. I believe this big shape was found inside of a broken hairdryer, and even though it was quite challenging at the time to think of something to build with it, I'm really glad I decided to save this one, because yeah, I think I finally found what it was meant to be. In the beginning of a build, my goal is to put the big shapes together as fast as possible. I'm not using 3D printing in this one to save time and move quickly, so yeah, I'm looking for pieces that fit well together. I was quite lucky in this project, because pieces not only fitted perfectly, but also they were made of good plastic, which makes the gluing portion much easier. Okay, so as you can see, I attached this black interesting ruby to the filament spool, and I managed to keep things separated by using this white shape right here. I can just connect the top to the bottom like this, and it goes right here like this. Now I need to close this hole right here on the top, which I did using CA glue and a plastic piece that had almost the exact diameter of the top of the cone. And don't worry, I'm kinda immune to CA glue at this point. I then used a Dremel tool to open a big hole in the middle of it so it could receive this other very good looking shape right here. What goes on the top of all of that was still a mystery to me, but I felt it was time to apply some primer so you guys can really see what's going on. With the primer applied, I decided to draw some lines with a compass, and that's because I wanted to try to align the buildings and structures that would come later to the center of the base. I mean, not everything had to be pointing towards the center, but I guess having some bigger structures like that would make sense and put some order to the chaos. At that point in the project, I still had no idea of what I was building. I mean, I knew it was like a sci-fi city, but what's the purpose of each thing there? What's the story I'm trying to tell here? That would only come much later, and I'll talk about that soon. But yeah, I was only worrying about the scale of the pieces. So to me, each button I'm adding there is like a support building, to the main one I mean. And I'm also trying to add some variety of sizes and shapes of buildings. So these, for instance, are some half beats that I've had in my collection for quite some time, and I decided to try to use them to break the monotony of the square buildings. I'm also trying to think of some organization logic. So of course, this diorama city is not going to be symmetric, as you can already tell. But for instance, the beats are located to one of the sides of the base. So maybe it is some kind of fuel storage. I don't even know yet, but these are the things that come to my mind when I'm freely building my models. Now, as I'm looking for the narrative on the shapes, I'm also of course looking for the visuals. Right here on this side, I felt I needed a bigger building. It will not only look cool, but also help with the scale, as the viewer can compare it to the main building on the center. So if I say to you that that building right there is like a 400-meter building, you can begin to look at the whole diorama in another way. Over the years, I've taken apart dozens of dead laptops, and I just can't throw away the keycaps, even though I have much more than I could ever use on projects. So things like small cities or spaceships and all of those smaller projects that I've been making recently are an amazing destination to all of that hoarding of pieces. Also, it's funny how the grips can kinda adjust to the scale of your project. So what would be like a battery pack or a bump on the surface of a robot or a sci-fi rivet like the 1 mm styrene discs I'm gluing right there can become buildings, rocket engines, control rooms. This is so much fun to me. I was always adamant on changing the scale of my projects, and to be honest, 1:20 is still my favorite. But yeah, I've been having so much fun with this. It's really making my mind work on a different way. But anyways, at that point I felt I needed some tubes going in and out on the diorama, and all of a sudden the fuel theme began to grow, and eventually it led me to the conclusion of the nature of this huge building. Now, tube work is super time consuming, and even though this is soft aluminum and bending it can be very easy, it is still a long process of bending and checking against the project, and yeah, super time consuming and boring, to be honest. I just do it because I really love the result. Changing subjects real quick, this right here is a wonderful material, one that I really suggest you guys going for. This is 1 mm styrene. As you can tell by the print, yes, I'm from Brazil and that is Portuguese, but also this is salvaged styrene. I guess some of you guys might have access to cheap styrene for model making. My solution right here is to go looking for these when shops and stores change their signs, which is super common. I'm a bit of a dumpster diver myself. But back to the build, or better, back to the main building, it was time to put on some work on this guy right here. And this plastic ball seems like the perfect choice for the top of the building. I just needed a solution to connect everything together, and I found it using my Dremel tool as a mini lathe. This is so satisfying, and I always forget it is really an option, but yeah, the black piece attaches to the bottom of the ball and to the top of the building.
So as you can see, I applied a coat of primer to the base, and I glued a piece of plywood on the bottom to add some thickness. Now my goal is to do some detailing on the main building. Now my idea is to leave it like less detailed than the base, and I feel like by doing that I'll give the main building some sense of mystery, I guess.
I grabbed some cool gribblies and decided to put together a quick landing pad, and I was closer to the answer, to knowing what I was really building. Now, unfortunately, the pieces I chose for it were not good plastic, but it is not going to see any forces applied to it, so no worries at that front. I just had to do some sanding to help the CA glue and hope for the best. On the top of the landing pad, I added some surface detail, and then I went for the final coat of primer, and I could finally start the painting process. I must say right here that this was the end of day 2. This was like a 3-day project. Nothing new happened on the painting process. Again, I went with the brushes, and though I need to test some different brands of acrylics, the ones I'm using right there are still the cheap acrylics that I really hate, to be honest. As you can see, I tried some crazy techniques on the painting process, just trying to have fun and test some ideas. And yeah, after a while I applied the final coat of matte varnish and this project was finished. Now I finally have my answer, what I was building from the beginning of the project. This right here is a sci-fi lighthouse, one that guides spaceships, and it has like a landing pad so people can carry business inside of it, like a station. I don't know, let me know in the comments if you liked this concept. Please consider supporting this channel on Patreon or becoming a member, and as always, thanks for watching.